Hey friends, welcome back to Don't Waste the Chaos. Today, I want to pull back the curtain on something I've been building quietly behind the scenes for quite a while now. I'm calling them the collectives, and no, this is not a pitch episode. This is a story about why these even exist, who they're for, and what I hope they do for the leaders, business owners, and HR folks who feel like they've been carrying too much alone. But in addition to that, I'm going to go over how exactly I created my collectives, which are membership programs, by the way, why they work inside of a business, and why you as a business owner may want to consider starting them yourself. Because the truth is, I've been the person that has felt like I've carried too much alone, whether as a female or a business partner or an HR pro. And so I want to jump in and try to help some folks out. So we carry a huge weight in leadership. And I'm going to be honest, HR is rarely the thing that people start a business to do. But at some point, it begins to be the thing that keeps people up at night. Whether you're the business owner, whether you're the leader, or whether you're an employee inside of a business and you see that this is a need, we start asking ourselves questions or thinking about things like, did I handle that the right way? Are we legally exposed and I don't even know it? Why does our team feel so disconnected? So I started my firm to walk with leaders through that tension and to make HR easier and more human. But I've realized over the past 2 years that not everyone needs or can afford full scale advisory services like what I offer. I mainly focus on project based or fractional work, which is outsourced work. Some people just need clarity, community, and a place to ask real questions without judgment. And that's what my collectives are. So why are we creating a membership program and why now? And I've got to say, I've had this itch for a while to create something accessible. That's part of the reason why I launched Salt and Light Advisors in the first place, is because when I was working in insurance, I saw a lot of small to mid-sized business owners that didn't have HR or even a dedicated seasoned office manager in their office. And they kept asking my benefits specialist HR questions. I would literally give my benefits specialist permission to share my cell phone number with some of these business owners so I could give them a little free consulting on the side and help them out. They were already insurance clients of ours and I wanted them to succeed. I wanted just to meet the people where they were. So when I sold my shares in 2022 and then launched my business in 23, I knew that my heart was in it for the small to mid-sized business owner. But I've also realized that I am someone who wants to build community and not just check compliance boxes. So I've created 4 collectives based on patterns I saw again and again. Small business owners doing their best to stay compliant, but feeling lost in the people stuff. Office managers who somehow became the person holding HR, but they didn't have any training. I also saw executives like me who were looking to go out on their own or leave corporate with no real mentor to guide them through that process. And I also saw women who were navigating growth, faith, family, leadership, and probably burnout. Those were the 4 main things that I kept seeing. And so I was like, I'm just going to create a membership program around each of these because I'm uniquely skilled to have these conversations. And these are not just products. They're places where people can belong. They're spaces where people can stop white-knuckling it and start learning inside of a safe community. So here are some reasons why a small business should add a membership option. And the first is this: scalable revenue and business resilience. So predictable revenue is a key driver for business sustainability. Membership models create recurring revenue that can cushion against fluctuating consulting or project-based work. I read a research study in the Harvard Business Review in 2021 that said businesses with recurring revenue models grow 5 to 8 times faster than those with one-time revenue models. And I mean, that seems really obvious, right? Also, subscriptions and memberships are no longer just for software as a service companies. 70% of business leaders say community-led growth is part of their 2025 strategy. I'm not going to get left behind. I read that in a community-led growth report by Pavilion and Comser in 2023, which has really gotten my mind thinking around this. And while I don't have a goal to sell, I also know that these type of reoccurring revenue models are really advantageous when you are looking to sell. It's going to make you more valuable in the marketplace. So, scalable revenue and business resilience is the first reason why you should consider membership options. The second is access to a larger, underserved market. Many small businesses can't afford one on one consulting, but 80% still need help in HR specifically, was the research that I was seeing in the NFIB Small Business Problems and Priorities Survey that I read in 2022, especially post COVID when compliance and retention have grown more complex. So I knew they can't afford the consulting and they're not able to dedicate those dollars, but they're still underserved. And likely in your business, there's an underserved market there as well. Also, by lowering the barrier to entry, meaning affordable monthly programs, businesses can capture no for now leads who would otherwise say no to high touch services like what I offer. So we've got more scalable revenue. We've got access to that larger underserved market. And we also have audience loyalty and brand trust. Memberships deepen customer loyalty and they increase long-term customer value. Memberships are 60% more likely to purchase additional services and refer others. Community-based programs humanize the brand, improve retention, and build thought leadership credibility, all things that I care deeply about. Now, why do people join communities or why do people join membership programs like this? The first is the rise of learning in community. 74% of professionals prefer learning in peer groups over solo training because they retain more and they feel more supported. I saw that in a LinkedIn Learning Workplace report in 2023. People no longer just want to consume content. They want engagement, connection, and relevance. I saw in HBR, community-based learning improves knowledge retention by 80% compared to passive formats. So interesting and not surprising. And when we think about the way we learn ourselves, isn't it nice to learn content and then be next to a peer and hear them say, oh, I've done that. Here's how it's worked. Or I want to try that. Do you want to try that too? We can hold each other accountable and follow up with each other. It just makes sense. Also, isolation and decision fatigue amongst leaders make people want to join these type of programs. Solopreneurs and small business owners report high levels of loneliness and burnout. Membership programs that include peer conversations and expert feedback can help combat this. 60% of small business leaders say they don't have a trusted HR advisor or someone to bounce questions off of. That just blew my mind. I read that in a MetLife and US Chamber of Commerce small business report. And that's exactly what I'm trying to build and resolve. But even in your sector, I'm sure there's ways you can address that. This was specific to people saying they didn't have an HR advisor. But I also know when you are the senior leader, it's isolating. I've seen this in my own leadership journey. And so having a trusted peer or group of peers or a community would have been so amazing for me, especially when it's outside of my company. You know, you've got peers inside of your organization when you're a leader. But if you start sharing about this employee and that employee, like people are interesting, right? Or they want to know the tea about each other and then gossip starts. So it's so great to be able to talk to someone outside of your organization, share the struggles you're going through, hear theirs and tackle them together. And even seasoned HR professionals seek advice. Over half of mid-level HR professionals say they lack access to strategic mentorship inside of their own organization. Sherm put that data out. I know that to be true. A lot of times you're the lone wolf when you're in HR and there's no one else to work with. And a lot of times you're not being mentored by anyone else either. People also join programs like this because of their desire for skill building and career alignment. 68% of professionals in their first 5 years of HR say they would join a paid community if it was offered. They want live Q&A, they want mentorship, and they want tools and templates they can use immediately. So communities like what I've built offer both professional development and emotional connection, and that is a powerful combination. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how I built my membership programs and give you kind of a playbook for business owners if you're thinking about doing this yourself. So whether you're a consultant, a coach, or a creative, adding a membership tool can help you scale impact, increase recurring revenue, and serve more people without burning out. I want you to know how I did it so you could consider doing it too. The first thing I did was start with a purpose. Why am I creating this? Before I built anything, I asked myself, what problem am I trying to solve? Who am I trying to reach that I currently can't serve in my model? And what kind of support would have changed my life 5 or 10 years ago? My why was rooted in access and community. I wanted to help small business owners and early career HR pros who couldn't afford full consulting but still needed clarity, tools, and memberships. This is how the idea of the collectives were born. But I would also say throughout my last 2+ years of my entrepreneurship journey, I've had two wild things happen that I was not anticipating. I really thought I was going to be in this HR and leadership realm exclusively, but I've had a lot of people reach out and say, I want to go out on my own, or I want to start my own thing. I see that it's working really well for you. How did you do it? So at the very, very beginning, I mean, early, like within the first 6 months, I created a course called The Build. And for 3 months, I got this group together. I charged $500 for 3 months worth of this program. Once a month, we did a 90-minute call. And then outside of the 90-minute call, I did a 30-minute one-on-one. So group session and then also individual session. And I broke it down between how I literally lifted up my business from choosing to start an LLC, how I moved from an LLC to an S Corp and why, how I started my website, what technologies I use. So the building piece. Then I also went over sales and marketing, how I chose pricing, how I'm writing my content. And then I got into the operations pieces of the logistics of how I'm running my business as it's small, how I determine how to hire my first person and all of that. So I created The Build 2 years ago and it blew my mind. 5 people attended that course. I had just started my business. And honestly, that's very humbling that people even did that with me because I had just started, but I had literally just started. So it was very fresh on my mind and I was sharing with them, this is exactly what I did. What I've done is taken that, which used to be called The Build, and I've transformed it into what's called The Leap, which I feel really captures when someone's wanting to leave their organization or leave the security net of salaried work or whatever it is. They are taking a leap. And so on top of my 2 HR focused collectives, I added The Leap for individuals who are thinking like, I want to do this too. I just watched Kerri do it. Like, how did she do it? I'm giving literally my playbook directly behind the scenes on exactly what I did, exactly what the tech costs that I spent and all of that. I'm even sharing my revenue numbers because I think it's very important for someone to see a realistic perspective of how someone did it to give them confidence. I didn't do that with anyone else. I'm not really sure why now that I look back on it, other than the fact that I'm confident and I just rolled with it. And I'm a Virgo and a manifesting generator and a lot of different things to just tell me that I am going to research it on my own and then leap. But there's so many people who won't do that. And so that's the reason why I created that collective. I've had a huge, astronomical and humbling amount of women reach out and just say, how are you doing this? I'm in my mid 40s and they want to know, like, how are you balancing your business? How are you being a wife? Your marriage appears healthy. Like, how are you doing that? How are you being a mother? How was it for you being a stepmother? How have you lost 50 pounds? How are you so healthy? What's your wellness routine? How'd you get into sourdough? I get a lot of questions around all of that. How do we become multimillionaires when I grew up on a farm? All of those things. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start a group specifically for women that we can focus on growth and expansion. But I want to be clear, it's for people of faith. I weave my faith into everything that I do, but specifically inside of the circle, I'm going to preach. Like, that's just how I am. I feel really, really confident in my relationship with God. And that's mainly because when you accept Jesus into your life, like, he gives you the Holy Spirit into your body and into your soul. And I feel strong for that. And so I'm excited about the circle as well, because I want to spend that intentional time with women and just share candidly what I'm up to, what peptides I take, have I ever tried TRT? All of these different things, we're getting into it. So the first thing I did was start with my why when it came to my collectives, my memberships. Why am I doing this? The next thing I did was define my audience. Rather than creating a one-size-fits-all program, I developed 4 distinct membership paths, each with a clear identity. So the first membership I created was HR in a Box. This is focused on small to mid-sized business owners building their HR foundation. They want to DIY it. I'm going to walk alongside it with them. The next one is the People Practice Lab. This is for emerging or accidental HR pros. And what I mean by that is a green HR person. So somebody who maybe they went through this SHRM class, Society of Human Resource Management. Maybe they haven't. Maybe they have a degree in this area. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just ended up in HR, or they're the office manager who ends up doing HR tasks, We're calling this the People Practice Lab, where you can really cut your teeth in HR and work directly alongside me and peers in the same spot. So that way you can grow in your confidence. The third one, the leap, this is for corporate minded folks wanting to transition into entrepreneurship. We talked about that. And then the circle, growth minded, faith led women wanting holistic personal development. So if you're starting, I would recommend you focus on one membership that solves a clear problem for a specific audience, because clarity is greater than complexity. Now, I say that I'm launching 4 at the exact same time. That's because I've been doing business for a couple of years and I've seen what the needs are, and I see there's needs in all 4 areas. So I'm going all in. And you know what? If you're like me and you're gutsy like that, roll with it. I don't care how many you do. I'm here to support it because I think it's a good idea. The third thing I did was to design a simple, repeatable delivery format. So each collective follows a 12-month curriculum, or 3 months for the shorter ones. The leap is 3 months long, and they've all got consistent structure. So each month includes a 1 hour to 90-minute live group coaching or teaching call. And in that call, there's a portion of teaching, and then there's also live Q&A. So that way people can ask their specific questions. I'll answer them and individuals can learn from one another. Each month inside of these collectives, they have an opportunity to have an optional one-on-one call with me if they're needing additional guidance or support, or they can message me inside of the membership platform. We also give 2 tactical resources every single month, whether that's a template or a checklist or a script, something that they can apply in their business or in their life immediately. And then inside of the platform, there's also a community space for questions, wins, things like that. I am really big on celebrating wins. And I've got to say, I haven't always been that way. But in 20 years in corporate, I felt like I was horrible at that. And I've changed my life in that way. I do my gratitude walks. I focus on the positive. And so we're creating a community space to celebrate those wins. And if you're in a space where you can't hear what other people are doing that are good because it makes you jealous, this is not the platform for you. We're also doing a predictable cadence. So like, for example, this call is on the first Tuesday or the third Thursday or whatever. So we're setting these up on a sustainable basis. And if people cannot attend, we're doing recordings and placing those on our platform as well. You can use things like Microsoft Teams or Go High Level or membership.io or circle.so. There's a ton, Kajabi. There's a ton of different tools and platforms to use to host the calls, share documents, and facilitate community. The fourth thing I did was build the content from real conversations. So I didn't just pull from scratch when I was creating these 12-month curriculums. I pulled from client FAQs, client pain points, tools and templates I've already created, notes from HR audits that I've done, notes from coaching sessions, notes from the executive coaching sessions that I do. So if you've been consulting or teaching or leading for years, you likely already have the curriculum inside of client folders and in your brain. You can curate what you've got instead of having to create from scratch, which is huge. That was huge for me. The fifth thing that I did to build this was to set a pricing strategy that reflected value, but also gave people access. So it's all more affordable than getting into a one-on-one contract with me. I priced each collective with 2 things in mind. It had to be affordable for those who maybe couldn't work with me one-on-one. And it also had to reflect my 20 plus years of experience, because I'm going to value myself. I've got 20 years of experience. I've got an undergrad in business. I've got a master's in business. I'm a certified senior examiner in the Missouri Quality Award. I've been involved with the Malcolm Bulger's National Quality Award. I've got tons of accolades. I've written a ton in various publications. I've also published my own book, the HR Easy Button series. So I'm going to value my time. So here's literally what I'm charging for my collectives, because I want to give you a good understanding of what you could do inside of yours. My HR in a Box, which is focused on CEOs or business owners, that's $450 a month. I did a 3-month minimum for that, but it's 12 months of curriculum. So if someone bails out in less than 12 months, they're not going to get the full HR foundation. That's not to be tricky. It just literally takes that much time to build out an entire HR foundation. That is a $450 a month investment, and I charge for 3 months at a time. The People Practice Lab, very similar, minimum of 3 months. It's 12 months worth of commitment. And this is for those entry-level HR folks. We'll be meeting them where they're at, or office managers. virtually, but I mean meeting them where they're at in their knowledge base, and that is $250 a month. The Leap is a 3-month program. It's a one-time commitment and it's $2,500. And then the Circle is $49 a month. That's the one for women. And the cool thing is when they are a part of the Circle, they also will get discounts off of the retreats that I hold at my private farm in Northeast Missouri. So I would start with a price and then stand behind it confidently. You can raise it later once you have testimonials and results should the need arise. However, I want you to hear me say this, and this is directed toward women more than it is men. A lot of times the data shows that a woman will be like, I'm going to discount my work because I've never done this before. Like, ladies, if I had said, I've never done a membership program before, so I'm going to discount my work, that's me discounting my 20 years, my education, all of that investment. Like, I'm not going to be doing that. So I'm going to value my time. And I built these off of how much time it's going to take me to create these things and spend in these things. And so when I say start with a price and then you can raise it later, I don't mean discount your work. I mean, start with a price, fill those collectives, bring the freaking value, get the waiting list, and then realize that you can raise your prices because people are dying to be a part of this program. Then you can grandfather in the folks who are loyal to you from the very beginning with preferential pricing. The next thing I did was market with heart and not hype. I choose a soft sell, story first approach. So I like to explain the why. I share a lot of personal videos and DMs for warm leads. I've got a resource list PDF for people who ask for more information. I do social media storytelling around the problems that each collective solves. It's no pressure, just an open door. I don't want anybody in these collectives that aren't excited to be in it because I'm in a season in my life where I'm not begging for people's attention. There are people who I know that I can serve and serve at a high level, and they are going to flourish under my leadership and under a relationship with me, being in a community with me. I'm not going to beg anyone. And so if anyone's like, I don't want to do that, like, absolutely, you should not do that. And same with you. You are a particular type of flavor. Don't become Neapolitan just because you're trying to reach a bunch of different people, because then the people who are really there for you will feel like they're getting less of you. Okay, the last thing I did when I was building out my collectives was create a community first culture. And from day one, I've reinforced it's a judgment free zone. Nobody has to have it all figured out. And we're going to learn with each other and not at each other. We're using reconnection prompts, live Q&As, and voice memo reflections to build trust and community. You want to build as you go. So I would say I didn't wait until everything was perfect to get all of this going. I just launched. I just said, I'm setting all of this up and we're launching. I'm sharing the curriculum ahead of time and I'm committing to building resources monthly, not all 12 up front. I've created an outline for my entire program, but I don't want to just throw things together. And this is not one of those things that I would recommend you just throw into AI and try to deliver, because people are paying you and they're going to be looking right at your face. So they want to see you bring your skills and experience. Anybody can get on AI or take an online course right now. People are coming to you. So I built this out in a customized approach. Really, you only need to be one step ahead of your members. So you can build the train as it's moving or put the wings on the plane as it's flying, whatever you want to call it. You just need to stay one step ahead of your members, but never behind, because you want to deliver the value. That's something that I am so committed to doing. You also want to systematize and delegate. So once the structure was created, I delegated a few things. The marketing implementation, I delegated that to my marketing coordinator. The member questions, I'm delegating that to my growth and community coordinator. The document creation, I created those and then we put them into Canva to make them look pretty. And then also my community and growth coordinator, she's sending out personalized messages from my LinkedIn account, my other social media accounts, trying to generate interest. I stayed in my zone of genius, which is teaching, connecting, and curating strategy. And then I delegated other things to team members who could help me. This could be people in your organization, or it could be contractors that you work with as well. I would also say, and something that I'm doing in my program, is to keep listening and iterating. I'm going to treat every single group as a beta, asking what's working and are people engaged? Are they disengaging? Why would they be if they are? What support do they need that I didn't plan for? And then adjust in real time with humility and responsiveness. I don't think anyone's expecting anything other than that. You don't need a massive audience to get this going. I launched the first collectives with only a couple people who had expressed interest before I said, hey, I'm doing this. That's it. So if you have a defined niche, real expertise, and a heart to serve, you have everything you need to launch a membership that changes lives, including your own. So again, my collectives, I want to go over these so you can keep thinking through like, all right, what could I build in my life based on my own strategy? So HR in a box. If you're a small business owner trying to get your HR act together, this walks you through 12 foundational HR areas over a year with templates, tools, and coaching. So what's something in your area of expertise that you can help people get their act together? I said, get your HR act together. That's literally what I'm trying to help CEOs do. What's something that you could do to help people get their act together? For People Practice Lab, this one's for the accidental HR person or the solo HR lead or office manager who needs real support, not just theory. We teach, we workshop, we grow together. So what's somebody in your network or what's something in your world that you could come alongside? So someone's doing what you've been doing for years and years and have tons of tools and expertise in, but other people just kind of stumble across that. What's something that's transferable to you in that direction to where you could really bring some real value to these folks? For the Leap, this is designed for corporate professionals becoming entrepreneurs because starting a business is as much of an identity shift as it is a logistical one. So what's something that you've done and maybe you've grown muscle mass, maybe you've changed your entire diet, maybe you, like me, moved from the city to the country, maybe you started regenerative farming, whatever it is, what's something that you've done and other people are really wanting to do that, but it also comes with an identity shift. It changes mindset too, that you could walk alongside people in. And then the circle for me, this is for women who are leading, living, and trying to honor both ambition and alignment. It's about mindset, energy, faith, and growth all in one space. So this is true community here. We are going to be women on a mission together, kind of linking arms. And so what's a community that you wish that you could be in that doesn't exist that you could create for yourself? Because that is what I did. These are not courses. These are containers, and you have these living inside of you too. These are spaces where you can breathe, ask questions, and get the clarity you need to move forward. And you can provide that for other people that are in your community. Every single one includes live calls with me, not pre-recorded content that you'll forget to log into. I recommend in today's day and age where we have access to so much information to get back to that human side of things, people are craving it. So here's what I hope you hear. What I don't want you to hear is that, oh, she's just launching a thing and just wants to sell it. That is not what I want to do. I am launching these because the one-on-one model that I have in my business can't reach everyone. And I believe people shouldn't have to carry the weight of leadership or culture or compliance or motherhood or huge life transitions alone. This is my way of multiplying impact without sacrificing intimacy. And if one of these collectives sounds like something that you or someone you know could use, I'd love to connect. But honestly, if you never join a thing I offer, I hope that this conversation reminds you, you don't have to white knuckle this season. There is support, there is structure, and you can also help others in this way as well. You're allowed to build something softer, smarter, and more sustainable for yourself and for others. Thanks for being here with me. And as always, don't waste the chaos.